out the jail.
Good evening. Welcome to Between the Lines. What are we up to, guys? May 25th. And we're here with Sheriff Russell Barker of the Anderson County Sheriff's Department, reelected for the third time last year.
Second.
No, you went in at 14, didn't you?
No. 18 was my first term.
Who went in after 14?
Paul again.
Paul went in 6, though. No, you're right. I'm 4 behind. Okay, guys. I was involved in every single one of those elections. I can't remember the dates. So Russell just got reelected for a second term, and we're excited. We think we do a good job in Anderson County. Our county commission likes it, but there are issues that are facing all of us in all the counties in public safety. I was talking with Washington a couple days ago and here, and it's just an immense challenge. And I don't think people really understand the challenge of Anderson County, having worked in government myself for 12 years. You know, it's a long way from New River to Oliver Springs.
Absolutely.
To Dutch Valley to Claxton and Haskell. And I think, you look at Oak Ridge and you look at Clinton, they're in contained environments. You were with Clinton for most of your career, and, you got a square, you got a little bit of an angle, but it's basically contained. You take these streets, we take those.
Yeah.
Trying to get how valuable it is to have rides that go to Bryceville, that go other places, and you do that. But that costs money. That's a lot of money. A lot of people, different people. And we're going to look at all those things today. And we're glad Russell was in Nashville and took time to come back and be on our show. Big conferences down there. Tell us a little bit about your career. Now, I know it, but you graduated from Clinton High School.
I did. Graduated from Clinton High School in 1988.
That makes you Farley's little brother. How does that work?
Yeah.
What year did he go out?
88.
Oh,
yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Love Michael.
So graduated Clinton High School in 1988. I tried college, and it just didn't take on the front end.
Yeah.
So entered the workforce, joined the Marine Corps Reserves, served a little time over in Alcoa at Delta Company, and after that went primarily in selling cars, and had an opportunity to apply to be a reserve at the city of Clinton. And went and interviewed with him, and then got a phone call a few hours later asking me if I'd be interested in being a police officer full time.
Was that Chief Melton's time?
It was Chief Melton.
I like Chief.
Yeah, and so I accepted the job, not knowing, if it was going to take or not. So go to Clinton. Started out in patrol. Then I became the community education officer. I was teaching DARE back then.
Yes.
And after that, I moved to the criminal investigation division, became a sergeant. A detective, then a detective sergeant. Mm-hmm. And then in 2012, when the crime task force became functional.
For the judicial district, yes.
Yep, I was assigned to that, 7th Judicial Crime Task Force.
They did a lot of work.
Oh, yeah, we were super busy.
You were everywhere. That's taxing on officers too.
Yeah, but it was a good life, and it was a lot of fun. Learned so much, and so from there in 14, our director retired, and I got appointed the director. And then of course 18, I won my first term.
Yeah, ran for office and everything. I'm a big fan of David Clark's. I brag about him everywhere I go. You'll see a commercial maybe tonight what you do for his elderly stuff, but it had to be good working with him.
Oh, it was awesome. So one of the benefits to being on the task force is you get exposed to a lot of really cool investigative stuff, and you get to
define stuff.
Like phone pings, phone tolls,
yeah, technology,
things that patrolmen don't normally get to do.
I got it.
And on top of that, you get incredibly comfortable with search warrants. What it takes to have a search warrant, what the judges are looking for, what the law says you have to have. And the search warrants are kind of underutilized to a degree, particularly in narcotics investigation. So we learned how to get very comfortable with that. And just like I said, got exposed to a lot of things because we would end up working cases with the TBI, the FBI, DEA, and it bled over outside because the thing that's unique about the 7th Judicial Crime Task Force is we're not solely a drug task force. We're a drug and violent crime task force, and the grant was written that way on purpose because there's not many of us in the state of Tennessee. So we applied for that and did it. And then in addition to that, since then, right as I was taking office, and we've been working on it for a couple of years, we got a HIDTA designation in Anderson County, high intensity drug trafficking area. Which has federal dollars attached to it. And what was unique about it is that everybody around us was a HIDTA county except us and Morgan County. So we were kind of like the donut hole, right?
Yeah,
and,
that makes sense. I see that.
And so, but one of the challenges to it was that we wanted to, typically what happens is you send your drug agents to the FBI, the DEA, and they're there. But one of the things that the board felt was important was that we try to get a locally led initiative as opposed to a federal one. Because even though they're investigating these drug rings and drug trafficking organizations, you're still going to have your, for lack of a better term, nuisance houses or flop houses where nobody in there is really dealing drugs, but they're dealing with stolen property, they're a bunch of addicts, and there's just a lot of crime that is associated with that. And so when you send your guys to Knoxville, it's hard to get them released to come back to work on things that are important to your community.
Right.
And so we got that.
What do you mean send them to Knoxville?
So when you have they call them task force officers. So local PD and sheriff's office people get credentialed as a task force officer with name the alphabet, right?
Yeah.
DEA, FBI, whomever. And so they report to the Knoxville office and they operate out there. Now they try to generate cases back from their home jurisdiction, but if not, for example, if I had a guy over there at DEA and he brought a good drug case from Anderson County, they would adopt it and work it. However, they might also be in Greenville, Tennessee. I mean, so the thing's there. And then in the meantime, you've got a neighborhood calling, complaining about the noise, the traffic, needle rigs, and things
Sure.
like that being tossed on the sidewalk, an unsafe environment. And sometimes a marked unit only shuts it down temporarily, right? So if you call over to Knoxville and say, hey, send my guys back, I need them to work on this, if they can, they will. But generally, they're tied up on some other things. And it's just not a high priority for the federal government.
No.
Right? And so that's why we went with the locally led initiative, because in our particular case, we partnered with ATF. And the ATF actually sent us an agent. And the TBI has sent us an agent. And they operate from an office here in Anderson County, and we are still HIDTA, so we have the benefits of the training, the grant money. They cover a lot of overtime for us and some equipment, and but we don't have to worry about that. And ATF's a fabulous partner in the sense that they're worried about guns, so it fit really nicely with the drug and violent crime task force that we established.
You can tell you have a lot of pride in those years, and you know a lot about it.
100%.
Just you're really invested in it. Is it still going? Is
Yeah,
the task force
100%,
going?
yeah.
Now, you got an officer assigned from your department, Oak Ridge.
I've got 4.
Okay.
And Oak Ridge has 2, and Clinton has 1. Those are full time. And now
Wow, that's great.
everyone in Anderson County, Rocky Top, North, Oliver Springs are all board members, and they contribute to it. But they typically only have part-time agents. So depending on what we have or what their budget allows, they can
That's right.
send people to help. Rocky Top is really good about freeing somebody up for like 90 days at a time and sending them. It's always the same guy because he's credentialed and knows the program.
Rocky Top's got their own challenges.
They do.
It's a unique community, and part of that's you're close to the interstate. You live in a low income area. There's a lot of reasons, but I've always, for me, it's Lake City. I've always liked those people a great deal.
They're great folks.
Oh yeah, they're down to earth, and of course, being married to somebody from New River, it's just over the mountain. You know,
right?
And as Officer Val said the other day, why'd you marry somebody who can whoop you? But that's okay. We'll live with that. That's true too. Everybody can whip me now. I'm too old. So I want to stay on the drug task force for a second. You're interfacing with them. Do you create your own cases, or are cases referred to you? Like, you got investigative parts. You go into a house and check them out. And
we create.
Create. That's right.
Yeah. So when I took office, automatically being the sheriff, I get a seat on the board. So I went from being the director to a board member. Okay.
How many board members?
There are 9 total now.
Okay.
Because our federal partners have a seat, TBI has a seat, and then, of course, General Clark, and then the police chiefs and myself.
Okay.
That comprises the board. And but back to what you were asking there. Yeah. So these things generate the whole purpose of it, particularly from a narcotics standpoint, was that you have the ability to increase communication, because there was no us against them. Like, lots of times historically, Oak Ridge had a dope unit, Anderson County had a dope unit. Nobody else did. Everybody else was too small. But so they wouldn't necessarily share information because everybody wanted the big leg,
sure.
Right? So it is completely took that away because everybody's standing under one flag.
That's good.
And then, of course, we get citizen tips, and then it's really cool to have those. So back when I was just an agent with them, we had set up some buys in Clinton. It was a target I brought to the table, and we're sitting up watching doing a controlled buy, and there was a gentleman I'd never seen before, right? That was part of it, and I said, I don't know who that guy is. We need to try to identify him. Well, instantly, he's now Lieutenant Marvell Moore of the Oak Ridge Police Department. He was with me back then. Marvell knew him because he was an Oak Ridger. And that was the thing that really was probably the most profound of it all. Law enforcement was worried about jurisdictions. Criminals didn't recognize city limit signs.
That's correct.
I mean, they just ran back and forth.
The only thing I've ever seen, and we'll take a break after I make this statement, you know, the tougher the sentencing, the tougher the incarnation, the better the VOPs are. So you tend to have criminals move laterally sometimes. They'll move to other counties and stuff. But Chandler, let's take a 3-minute break and come right back.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
Birchfield's is Oak Ridge's premier dining spot. They offer an incredible breakfast buffet that's just $14.95, and it includes your drink. But they also offer Eggs Benedict and pound cake French toast. From 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, Birchfield's offers happy hour specials, including 50% off appetizers and special prices on drinks, plus amazing dinner entrees that are served from 5 to 10 p.m. Enjoy an unforgettable dining experience today at Birchfield's, located inside the Doubletree Hotel on Illinois Avenue.
When should you get tested for COVID-19? You have symptoms of COVID-19, such as runny nose, congestion, sore throat, fever, cough, shortness of breath, muscle pain, headache, chills, or loss of taste or smell. Current testing recommendations say everyone should get tested immediately if they have symptoms of COVID-19. If you have symptoms, be sure to follow recommendations about how long to stay home and away from others. For more information, visit our If You Are Sick or Test Positive webpage.
All right, crew, let's get started. Sure.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
Welcome back to Between the Lines. We're talking with Sheriff Russell Barker about Anderson County and crime and public safety and the challenges that all the police departments and they're facing. Let's talk just a few minutes about inflation. Okay. I mean, people don't understand that Roane County wants 20% for their officers. Knoxville's looking for 30 across the board. Everything. And I looked at, just out of, because I know the business, I looked at it. I thought you came in with very reasonable aspects and got commission support and got it put in there, and it worked well. And it's hard right now because governments are flush with money, but they're not flush with reoccurring. You know, they've got
100%.
cash, but once they spend it, they can't replenish it. But if we're going to keep, for years, we've had to deal with, wagon hunting everybody at the plants. That's just been where everybody went, right?
Can't do anything about that.
Can't do anything about that, right? And they made agreements to only do 3 a year, and they've done some things to try to help. But I work full-time with an engineering firm. We deal with Y-12. I talk about that sometimes. But we have to be competitive in keeping our officers. I mean, think about it, folks. What if it was surgery or doctors or other things? I'm just not I just think it's, when it's excessive and when it's not. And right now there's an overall threat to public safety. You think drugs are a threat. What if there's nobody to go get the guys with the drugs? How bad, and you can speak in a general way or a specific way, the one to state. You work with sheriffs every day. How bad is the turnover?
It's across the state.
Yeah.
It's incredibly hard, particularly in corrections, okay?
Oh, he always has been.
Corrections is hands down the hardest job we have because you're basically a glorified trustee.
Yes, right. Lowest paying.
Yes, it is incredibly tough for 12 hours. So like today, our population in the jail is 394 people, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a small little town of roughly 400 people, and everybody in it's bad, right?
Right.
And so you're running these shifts, and it's very unique in the sense. And one of the things, last year, we approached about some raises, right? And so we took it upon ourselves and found within our own budget ways to give an increase. So what we did last year was we gave everybody on patrol, and this is without rank, right? Corporals and up didn't get anything, but our patrolmen got $1 on the hour, and then we gave $3.04 an hour for our corrections people.
That's great. That's a good one.
So what that did was it gave us parity in pay. So whether you're a corrections officer or a patrolman, you make the same. Now, we already had that once you hit corporal, right?
Right.
So the only place we were missing it was in the what we call the slick sleeves, people with no rank. Mm-hmm. So that made a tremendous difference because we were consistently 25 corrections officers down, and now we're running somewhere around 5.
Oh, that's excellent.
But we're still seeing the turnover, just not at the rate we once did.
When you have a decent starting rate, you can hire.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we saw that number of applications to go up, but more importantly, we saw the quality of applications go up. We were getting more people who were entertaining going into corrections. So parity in pay was just a complete game changer for us. But we're still seeing the turnover. So we're running a lot of classes through. We're still seeing turnover on the operations side to whack and hut. We don't too often lose them to another agency, but we do sometimes.
We used to.
And
That's good what you've done.
But the shocking part is and this is what I try to express to commission. We've got some really talented people that want to be in law enforcement, but more importantly, want to be in law enforcement at the Anderson County Sheriff's Office. So these raises that they can get by doing a lateral move to another agency are incredibly enticing to them. For example, we were down in December at the Tennessee Sheriff's Association, and while we were there, Roane County announced that they were going to $44,000 walking in the door, and they're the only
for regular patrol people
and jail.
Okay.
And so that literally was like they had parity in pay before we did, right? But that's the only other county I know of that has that, and so that we were like, holy cow! Well, they've turned around this year, and I think they got it to 51. But we are actually our people make less than everybody, not just regionally, but Anderson County as well. I mean, everybody outpays us. Oliver Springs, Norris outpays us, and we're by number and by square miles, we're the largest agency in the county, and we're in the very rear. So that is tough to battle against. So we have to do it. And one of the things when we rolled into this budget season, we looked. And and you were around back then, the famous 2007, the commission voted in these step raises, right? So what happened is that during the step raises, they funded it in 2008 and then never funded it again. Now, commission has done their very best and has done a fair job of making sure they get something, that raises,
sure,
cost of living or whatever. But we've not kept up, and that is exactly why we're in the spot we're in this time. Had they just stuck to what they implemented in 07, we probably wouldn't be here today. But we are. And
even though we are here today, we're a little better off than we might have been if you hadn't been able to get some reapportionment between departments. What'd you call it?
Yeah, the parity in pay.
Parity, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a game changer for Anderson.
Well, you don't shoot internally. You don't say, Bob's making it, well, I can't say.
100%.
You work as a team and get what you need to get. So how much, when you get your budget through, and it looks like it's been approved by budgets, I guess it's moving on to commission. So I feel pretty good about it. How will that help? How much?
So what we're asking for in this upcoming budget is $1.7 million. And
sounds like a lot, but hold on.
Yeah.
How many officers? How many people?
Total, top to bottom, 188. Okay.
Divide that up. Go ahead.
So of that, 1.3 million is raises. Okay.
Sure. It always is.
So we knew coming into this budget, we already had a 20% increase in our uniform costs with Blower.
Absolutely.
Our cleaning supplies were going up 8%.
Oh, at least.
We had a built-in 3% in the contract with Southern Healthcare Partners, who provides our medical for the jail. So we already had some costs that were just absolutely set in stone, right? We knew what was going to happen. And then, of course, fuel. We know what's happening with fuel. And so then we took a look. And so we got together and we worked out, we literally come up with 6 different pay scales. And so when we looked, we took the one that was reasonable, okay? So of the 6, the one that we actually presented was number 5, right? And 1 being the most expensive, 6 being the cheapest. So we picked number 5. And the reason we did that is because we had some things that happen. We'd reached Tier 2 at our jail, which is going to increase revenue. And we identified some other sources of money to where we accounted for $820,000 that could go towards funding this. And we knew it could be done without tax increase. Mm-hmm. And that's what was important. And we had 4 meetings with our staff, corrections and operations and anyone in between, and we presented it. And we said that we think this is the best shot we have, and it makes us competitive again. Doesn't put us at the top of the heap, but it makes us competitive. And they all agreed, and we said, we get one shot at this. Mm-hmm. And everybody agreed, and so then we moved forward and got it through budget.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
That's very good. What is your total budget? Jail was $4 million 20 years ago.
Yeah, so I brought that with me right here.
Take your time.
Because I knew that was going to be a question. So our proposed budget right now for 22-23 is $15,230,060.
Is that about a third of the general fund?
I guess.
Yeah, I
don't know.
We were
I
like
don't know.
25 or 8. It's got to be 40 something now.
So
It's interesting.
so on that note, just a couple of things that we pointed out to commission. One, we've been incredibly good stewards with their money. If you'll remember, we had an overcrowding issue when I first got into office, and we were fortunate because it was going across the state, but we were fortunate because years ago they built Unit 1, what we call Unit 1.
I understand Unit 1.
And so
Is it occupied yet?
it was not at the time, but so they give us the money to open it.
Okay.
And I stood there and told them, if we ever get to where we don't need it, I'll shut it down and return the money. So we did, and then COVID hit, right? And so that kind of slowed everything down. The state of Tennessee came in and took somewhere around 100 state inmates from us.
Wow.
So our population just bombed. And with COVID, the courts, General Clark did a fabulous job, him and the judges. They were trying to get some of our misdemeanors out and get them home. So, because controlling a disease or such as COVID is tough in a corrections population.
Oh, sure.
So we got them out. So we returned the money and shut down Unit 1.
Return the money. That's the key.
And then on top of that, we got to, as we were preparing for this, and I'd just like to give you some numbers.
Sure.
So,
I like to hear.
So, for example, when I took office in 2018, the budget I inherited was $13,495, or excuse me, $13,495 and $13,495,177.
Yeah, I got it.
At the end of that, and of course, we saw a lot of deficiencies with equipment, show cars, and things like that. We returned back, and I got these numbers from Robbie Holbrook.
Sure. Good, great guy.
We returned back $469,253
To the general fund.
Yes. And 1920, our budget actually went up to 14.1, we'll say roughly. We returned 952,000 and some change. So 2021, it went up another 70,000 to 14.8, and we returned 1.3 million.
It's interesting. Every year you're able to save some money.
Yeah, and then of course last year we returned out of four, and our budget actually decreased in 21-22 to 14.5, so it was down 300, and we turned back in 935,000. So we're not spending just.
And if you think
through
if you think those 4 years, they're all about level. There's not a lot of increases.
Right. There's really not.
13 to 14, and you're giving money back.
Yeah. So we've. And
it's good stewardship.
Yeah, and on top of that, so we built a brand new building at the jail, a new evidence facility, because what we had was inadequate and antiquated, and we did that with strictly drug fund money, inmate labor.
That's good.
And so it didn't cost anybody anything. And so we were really proud of that. And we've just done a really, really good job with our money. And I get it. Those are huge numbers, but it's a huge thing we're doing. That the outside of just employees, which is a tremendous amount, because when you get into not just salary but benefits.
Well, I'm in the private sector, and I do a lot of work in energy. And the bottom line is, when you go to set a budget, your most valuable resource is labor. You've got to figure out how to use those people correctly. Well, let me say this before we go to break. Let me say that a sheriff's salary is never goes up or down. It's set by the state. So any benefits you get for your people don't impact you.
Right.
People need to understand that. He's making all that money. No, he's not. He gets set a safe salary. Everybody makes the same pretty much, and you work for your people.
It's based on population.
That's correct. There's a stagger system. That's it. All right, Chandler, let's take a 3-minute break.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation.
We should never lose sight of our health. To keep moving forward, let's not forget everything we've learned. Limit the salty food options. Make your own daily exercise routine. And always receive regular checkups. More than anything, We have learned how important these small steps can make a big difference, so we can all continue to move forward together.
All right, crew, let's get started. All right.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
Birchfield's is Oak Ridge's premier dining spot. They offer an incredible breakfast buffet that's just $14.95, and it includes your drink. But they also offer eggs Benedict and pound cake French toast. From 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, Birchfield's offers happy hour specials, including 50% off appetizers and special prices on drinks, plus amazing dinner entrees that are served from 5 to 10 p.m. Enjoy an unforgettable dining experience today at Birchfield's, located inside the Doubletree Hotel on Illinois Avenue.
Welcome back to Between the Lines. We're talking with Sheriff Russell Barker and all the outstanding things that are being done in Anderson County and how they're approaching problems in a fiscally efficient way and some other things. First, I want to thank Oak Ridge Utility District for all they're doing. I mean, they're all sponsoring, helping us, doing great work in the community. Attorney Daniel Forrester, running for chancellor now. Good guy, Russell.
Absolutely.
And he's out there running, and he's going to do a great job as the chancellor. Fan Gear, our local store across from the hospital in Security Square, does a great job with older jerseys, playing cards, and different things. And our restaurant, number one elegant dining restaurant in Oak Ridge, Birchfield's, and we'll come back to some more energy sponsors in a minute. Tell me what needs to happen to the infrastructure of the department, cars. I want to say you've never enhanced your administration. You've always been on the floor of the Jolly Dome, correct?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, think about that. It's 15, 20 years.
Yeah, so we currently have two spots. The Jolly Building is for operations, fourth floor, and then of course the jail is corrections. It's for me. I would love to see us all on the same piece of dirt, right? Because we are. It's our mantra is one team, one fight.
Sure.
Or excuse me, one family, one fight, and it's imperative that we have that. And it would be really nice if we were all there and saw each other every day, as the shifts come and go. But we don't, and we're making it work. But as far as our infrastructure goes, County Commission has been fabulous with the monies they provided for us for vehicles.
How many patrol cars are there?
Oh, Lord, about 110 total, probably.
Wow.
Counting transportation.
John Vickery's still down there, or somebody down there?
He's still in charge of it.
John knows a lot.
Yeah, so our fleet manager is Captain Kenny Sharp. But,
Kenny Sharp,
yeah. But John and that crew down in Motorpool keep us up.
They're still in the same building?
Yeah.
Right there below?
Yeah.
Well, that's unbelievable.
They've actually expanded out a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
But see, folks, that's what I'm trying to say. These are trying to get money to stay operational for public safety. They're not enhancing their quality of life in any way.
No.
I mean, you're talking about an old garage that built wooden doors, and I guess it may have changed in 8 years, 12 years. But, I mean, just these guys are hard workers, knowledgeable, love their county. I'm just throwing that out for my boys.
So one of the things that we did when I first got there, because we didn't have enough roadworthy patrol cars. A lot of high mileage stuff. We only had what we call 2 line cars, and basically what line cars are or backups. If something blows up in the middle of the night or during the day, and it has to go to the shop, so you don't lose that officer. He has a car he goes and gets. Plus our reserves use those cars for various things. We only had 2 line cars, and they were a couple Crown Vics with 180,000 miles on them.
Yeah.
So what we did was in 1819, first thing we did was we got our money, and we turned around. We went to Missouri and bought used Missouri State Police cars. They would come in generally with somewhere around 50 to 60,000 miles, and we put those in. And then as we moved forward, we finally got to where we're actually having an influx of brand new vehicles. Now, one of the things that
Is that on a rotation like we do 2 this year, 2 next year, 2? Is that how you do it?
Yes, except we have basically a lot of money, right? Whatever our particular amount is, and then we do have them scheduled to leave. Now, generally, what happens is, for example, when a patrol car hits a certain point, we send that to either transportation or civil process, the courts, somebody who is not necessarily running emergency traffic, right? So all of our brand new cars, with the exception of specialty vehicles such as vans and buses for inmate transport, it goes to patrol. Now, my command staff, they have no choice but to accept Missouri used cars, myself included. They just rotated my Tahoe out, and the one I got has 80,000 miles on it. So,
how many miles does a patrol car become hazardous, unusable?
It really depends on the vehicle, how it's been taken care of, how it's been driven, right? John Vickery kind of helps us make that call, and we also
John knows his cars.
Yeah, and we go to a kind of a cost analysis there. How much are we spending on keeping it on the road?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And of course, personal driving habits can make all the difference in the world on that.
So what's wrong with mine?
Yeah, and so that's what we've done, and we've been really fortunate in that. And we've made some great strides in technology. When we got there in 18, CID, our Criminal Investigation Division, they had one computer that could burn pictures from a SIM card to a disk.
Sure.
Well, now everybody has that, and we got computers back in the cars, and we've took advantage of grants. I mean, just a ton of grants.
Do we have the little photo things that we always see on the city cars, the cops, where you have, excuse me, it's not my field, but where you actually record what's going on between you and the customer? What's that called?
Yeah, the in-car cameras.
The in-car cameras.
Or body cams.
Body cams, that's it.
So we literally purchased $250,000 worth of body cams.
Okay.
Or excuse me, in-car cameras. We couldn't do the body cams in both, so we went with the in-car cams.
I think that's good for officer safety.
So 100%. And even when you get out of the car, even though you don't have the video from the body cam, you still have the audio, right? But we ran into a technical glitch where we were having trouble downloading, right? Mm-hmm. And we're currently working with that company to get that fixed. And as a matter of fact, the new antennas and what we hope is going to be the fix is there. So not every car has it, because we stopped installing it. Because when we thought, if this isn't going to work, we're not going to do this. So we've went back and forth trying to figure this out, and they've sent some stuff down. But we've had Cisco involved. The county IT director got involved. And so I'm pretty confident we're going to have a fix on that, because it is important. Because we've had, since I've been the sheriff, gosh, I know I can think of 3 officer-involved shootings that ended in fatality. So it's really key for us to have those things, because it really just gives you an unbiased.
Yeah, and I think everybody needs to realize, you see these videos on national TV, if it's an officer's not doing what they're supposed to do, nobody wants to know more than you.
100%.
Either side, it can be, but most of the time it's the other way around. If somebody's intoxicated or violent, and before anything happens, they need to be caught on video, in my opinion. And that's why officers position people in certain places. Step out of the car, step to the back of the car. You got to get where you can actually control the situation a little bit. And first thing I remember when we used to do traffic school was you put your hands on the wheel.
Yes.
They can see your hands.
I do that.
They ain't going to be. I get stopped once every 10 years for a red light or something. And I like a blinker, and I put my hands on there and I say, "Officer, what do you anything you need?" You know?
Yeah,
it's just simple stuff.
Ever since I've been a police officer, one of the, and I hate to say this, but I've had some negative contact with law enforcement myself. I've been pulled over, right?
Sure.
But particularly at night, I turn the dome light on. I roll down all my windows, and I leave my hands on the steering wheel.
Absolutely, they can see your hands are safe.
Yeah, 100%.
Usually, unless there's somebody on the floor or something.
You know, that's the thing.
Common sense, right?
100%.
Don't reach in the glove compartment until you get permission.
And the public needs to know that, particularly with the current climate, national climate.
Sure.
We're kind of insulated here in Anderson County.
Thank God.
We have a ton of people who support us. As a matter of fact, there are very few that I can think of that tend to be anti-law enforcement. Yeah. But one of the things is that we never know on a traffic stop what we've got. Case in point, I'm going to speak about it in much detail as I can, but it's tough. But we had a report of a wreck with injuries. So an officer is running emergency traffic to get down there because we had people hurt in a car wreck.
Sure.
He has to pull off because as he's coming down the road, the car in front of him doesn't know he's going to a wreck. He thinks that the officer's after him, so he runs and starts driving recklessly. Well, he gets on dispatch, says we have to deal with this first because this guy's going to cause a wreck. And so at the end, turns out the guy had a ton of warrants.
That's what I think.
Had a gun. And that ended in a shooting. But now he survived. He got shot in the arm, but it was incredibly intense. And that's just the thing. You never know. And one of the things that people erroneously believe, it's Anderson County, and they love to still think of Mayberry, right?
Yep.
But we're not it anymore. We're just not.
No.
We're having an influx of people from
Maybe
out of
Norris.
state.
That's bad.
Yeah. But we're seeing an influx of people from out of state. And
everywhere is.
Yeah. And a lot of people were jumping off I-75. They're at the 122. So it's changing.
And that's a challenge for Rocky Top, too, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Because of all the influx you get there. But, you know, I was in the political business, and I went to counties in Middle Tennessee, and I had Upper East Tennessee, I had clients all over, and every single election registrar in those counties said, we have 1,800 registrations since the last 2 years. We have 2,200, and it's everybody migrating from the Midwest, and, and they're coming here just for a different way of life, and you know, 100%. So 2,000 people is a lot of people in a county of 40. It's 5-6% a year, 8% a year, and Anderson County is no different. And they're coming out to Andersonville and other areas, et cetera, et cetera. So you get going back to the infrastructure and the cars and all these people. You got like. How do the shifts work? How do patrol shifts work?
All right. So patrol and corrections are on 12-hour shifts.
Okay.
We have set shifts on the correction side, and we've just recently went to rotating shifts on the operations side. So patrol will work 10 weeks of nights and then 10 weeks of days. What we're trying to do is we're seeing if we get any kind of better production, because one of the things that happens is it's two different types of policing, day and night, right? So, for example, you see a lot more wrecks during daylight hours. There's businesses open. There's
twice as many people.
Yeah, more people. And at night, you know, after a particular hour, really, the only people out and about are up to no good or delivering a newspaper.
Oh yeah, or they got it. Yeah, that's right.
So we're trying to expose and create a little bit, and of course that also ends. Lord, I've been stuck on midnights for 4 years, you know. I mean, the ones that want to come to day shift. So we're giving that a shot. We're going to see what it looks like. We're going to take a look at our numbers and kind of crunch numbers to see if we've got any better production out of that. And we've set it up. Everybody still gets the 2 weekends off a month. That's important because you have to have a good family life.
And that's another thing. Officers' lives, they call me out, they change. They start out single at 24, yes. Then they have a baby married at 28, have a baby at 32. Now they didn't care where they worked at 24. Yeah. Now they need some daytime, some time off. Yeah. You know, it's a management job.
So we're taking a look at that. And if it goes well, we may switch it over on the corrections side as well, because, again, that's very different because the courts are open. And you've got to get them to and from their court dates. That's when all the hospital visits go. If we're not going to, if it's not something we can handle in house, and it's just a different environment.
You got to be on your toes at all times.
100%.
There's no chance of laying out the window and look at TikTok. You got to really go in that job because there's a lot of people there.
Yeah, and you know, I mentioned earlier that corrections is the toughest job. So the only thing I can tell you is if you're on patrol and you're having a bad day, whether it's you've got financial concerns, you and your wife or girlfriend or husband are not,
I get it.
you know, jiving for whatever reason, or if it's that thing that everybody does where, hey, you feeling bad? No, I'm not sick, but I don't feel good, right? And you're coming in and getting people like me sick, right? If on patrol, you can literally just respond to your calls and be okay. Well, at the jail, we have things we just absolutely have to do. We have to feed the inmates. We have to make sure they get their medication. We have to get them to their court dates. I mean, so there's just some things if you're not feeling good. And in between, you got them flushing towels and trying to stop up our plumbing and just being disruptive.
Unbelievable. Chandler, let's take one last break for a couple minutes, and we'll come back for a concluding 10-minute segment with Sheriff Russell Barker.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance clean energy and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear and environmental fields.
Birchfield's is Oak Ridge's premier dining spot. They offer an incredible breakfast buffet that's just $14.95, and it includes your drink. But they also offer Eggs Benedict and pound cake French toast. From 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, Birchfield's offers happy hour specials, including 50% off appetizers and special prices on drinks, plus amazing dinner entrees that are served from 5 to 10 p.m. Enjoy an unforgettable dining experience today at Birchfield's, located inside the Doubletree Hotel on Illinois Avenue.
When should you get tested for COVID-19? You have symptoms of COVID-19, such as runny nose, congestion, sore throat, fever, cough, shortness of breath, muscle pain, headache, chills, or loss of taste or smell. Current testing recommendations say everyone should get tested immediately if they have symptoms of COVID-19. If you have symptoms, be sure to follow recommendations about how long to stay home and away from others. For more information, visit our If You Are Sick or Test Positive webpage.
All right, crew, let's get started. Sure.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
Thank you, Chandler. We're back for a final segment of Between the Lines with Sheriff Russell Barker. And the one thing we always talk about, public safety, we're looking at different aspects of it tonight, that it's not just a gun pointing at a drug dealer. It also is keeping our officers safe, doing different things, educating in the schools,
yes,
providing a lot of programs that have been provided by our Anderson County Sheriff's Department. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We still utilize grants.
Yes. And honestly, we're we're really aggressive for grants.
Good.
We have them for currently our SROs, and on top of that, we've used them for ballistic vests.
SROs are school resource officers for our people out there. We have a lot of older people don't know about that.
And in addition to that, another grant, we just got one down at the jail that they wrote for $325,000.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a ton. And
you still got all the programs down at the jail?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. A lot of good.
Lucretia Logan is our director.
I know Lucretia very well.
Work at PSI.
Yeah.
She is absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, she's coming up to be our employee spotlight there on Facebook.
Good.
And she's doing a really good job. Mm-hmm. To the grants. So one of the things we're really proud of, and we campaigned on this in 22, was currently we have in Anderson County 17 schools on 15 campuses.
Wow.
Right? So we were able to get to the point where we're currently at 15 SROs.
Wow.
So only 2 SROs. So we have one on every campus, but 2 of them have to bounce back and forth between a middle school and an elementary.
Yeah.
Now, the part of that was through Governor Lee and some of the things he offered. And then in addition to that, we have an incredible relationship with Anderson County Schools. They really help us carry that load. They are very serious about having us.
I really like the superintendent.
Yeah, I mean they're fabulous to us.
He's just top notch.
Yeah, and so Governor Lee's come out with some new grants after the shooting in Nashville. And
shootings everywhere.
Yeah, and so we plan on applying and taking advantage of those. So our SROs, I can't say enough about them. And we've had a couple of false alarms. There's been a incredible trend of hoax shooters or hoax threats that are coming into schools. We had one at Norris, and we handled it. I mean, I was thoroughly impressed. Not only did they handle it and made sure everybody was safe, but they actually went the extra mile and actually found the person that was
doing the hoax.
Yeah, but the strange thing is it's kids. And General Clark has been to the schools and talked to them and said, hey, I know y'all think you're just having fun, but this is a serious matter. And we've seen it drop off, but of course summer's getting here, and that could be why.
And that's one of the collateral effects of drug use in parents. I mean, I hate to say it, but there are kids who are out there by themselves.
100%.
And they're living on this,
yes.
And they're living on TV, and they're living on video games, and they attach to it or something. Most parents are good, but I'm just saying they attach to it, and you feel so sorry for them. But there's some collateral damage to our kids. Not to mention COVID. I'm concerned. But you got other grants. You've been doing other things.
So we have the most recent one that we're excited about, and it's not in our hands yet, but we've talked a little bit about it publicly, but we kind of sat back hoping that we could. We didn't want to jinx ourselves, so to speak.
Yeah.
But OCJP has come out with some grants, Office of Criminal Justice Programming, and they are running it through LEIC here in Oak Ridge, Law Enforcement Innovation Center. And so we applied for a grant. We asked for $2 million.
Good.
Now,
Don't be shy.
It's a collaborative grant. So what we did was, particularly since we're our own judicial district, we got all the law enforcement agencies on board, and we talked about the needs, and we kind of ran it as like the 7th judicial model, right, where it's one banner, right? Well, what ended up happening is we got our letter saying we got $1.8 million.
Wow.
Of the $2 million.
Tell us where that money goes.
So that is going
perspective.
Yeah.
We're not there
so
yet.
It's heavy on technology.
Good.
Where we're going to have some forensic technology investigations that we've not had available to us without going to the TBI or out of town.
And those guys are backlogged out the door, yeah.
Yeah, and so we're going to have some forensics there that is going to be critical.
What would they be used for? Give me an example of, I guess you could have like cyber attacks and stuff like that.
But this is more along the lines of, because one of the things we do almost on a daily basis is cell phone dumps. Where a crime has occurred and you seize the phone, get a search warrant for the phone, but the carrier is not going to give you the information without a search warrant and things like that. Well, typically we'd have to, particularly when Apple, there for a long time, you'd have to ship it off to Gray Key, and Gray Key would do the dump for you, right, with search warrant. Now we're going to be able to do that in-house. So it's going to speed the process up.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at new equipment, new training. Our SWAT team is incredibly active, but we don't have a line item for them, right? So these guys are robbing from Peter to pay Paul. A lot of them go into their own pocket. So this grant, we wrote in some stuff for the SWAT team. So they're finally going to get that. In addition to that, we're going to do some computers, right? And when I say we, I'm not talking about just the sheriff's office. This is for everyone: Oak Ridge, Clinton, Rocky Top, Norris, Oliver Springs. So when we figured these things, we figured it in for everyone, and that's what made our grant application so incredible, in my opinion. Was we had a collaborative grant where all the police chiefs and district attorney and myself, we all signed for the grant and asked for it. So, and of course, there's a ton of other people that helped that along. Mayor got involved and helped us with some of that, and so that is just really big right there.
You know, I'm also, you have some outstanding female officers. They're younger, a lot of them. And I bump into them like in some kind of civic event or whatever. Very personable, very well trained, friendly. I mean, they reach out to the customer. So I've been big the last years. I want to see younger people involved. Like our judicial age went to an average of 48 overnight, and our commission age dropped a bunch.
Yes.
And we got young people that are challenging and innovative, and I like to see that in our law enforcement too, and I just think we're making a lot of progress.
Yeah, so one of the things we did, particularly when we were trying to combat the jail issue, the staffing there, so we're covered under civil service rules.
Sure.
So civil service board said you had to be 21 to come to work for the sheriff's office. So we went and met with the board and asked them to lower that, and we asked to lower it to 18 because we figured if you go serve your country at 18.
I get it. I get the rationale.
And they were really hesitant. So that what they did for us was drop it down to 19 and said anybody 18 will take it on a case-by-case basis.
Fair enough.
So, and trust me, from a liability standpoint, I'm not naive enough to know that every 18-year-old rolling out of our local high schools
Is ready.
Yeah, and
How do you compete with the guy that just wants a gun? And you know, we all have that in law enforcement. You know, there's always some kid who just wants to be a police officer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the guy in my sights. Not that he wants to kill him necessarily,
right.
but he wants to be in control. And that's not always a bad thing, but you got to taper it down.
No, you absolutely do.
I've never ran into it. Now, when I was young in high school, there was a few detectives out there.
Well, it's a different time too.
That's 50 years ago.
It was a different time. But one of the you just got to vet them. You really do. You got to take a look and try to get an idea of
You've done a great
what
job
they're about.
You've done a great job.
And listen, we don't catch them all, but our process generally weeds some of them out.
But you know, the monitoring system is so good nowadays with technology and everything that you can't really do much. I mean, people got cell phones and everything else in the world.
Yeah, we're recorded. You know, that's one of the things when we had this issue with our in-car camera systems. Well, most people were recording us anyway in their encounters.
My police friends
so we could get them.
back in Pittsburgh in the 90s used to say Rodney King changed the world.
100%.
You know, I mean, it made people more aware that, and those things shouldn't have gone on anyway. But,
100%, yeah.
But it had some good people. What's the most rewarding part of your job?
Oh, man, that's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, just what do you...
So we have, first off, for me personally, I have been able to do a lot of things like Miss Shining Star.
Yeah.
I've been a judge there for years now, and it's a beauty pageant for handicapped children. Well, the fact that I was a sheriff's what got me invited to begin with. But professionally, it's one we're seeing crime decrease, even though
I think so.
we are. We're seeing a decrease
That's a
in
citizen's
crime.
gut feeling.
And on top of that, we've really made strides and made it a better place to work for our employees.
Yeah.
And we're still continuing to do that. But we really brought in a philosophy of customer service, right? So I think we need, when we're dealing with people, I think that we need to treat people with dignity.
Because sometimes the guy you're arresting is your boss. He's a citizen, right?
Yeah. I mean, dignity and respect until we can't. And then,
That's what I tell
then when we get everything under control, we go back to treating them with
That's my
dignity
line in
and
politics. I
respect.
tell everybody be nice until it's time not to be nice, you know.
Because sometimes people have bad days or making poor decisions and can't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, helping the people of Anderson County, we have an incredible community. I mean, incredible. I'm so proud to be from here.
What would you like to change the most? What's the one thing in the system that just never sits right with you that we need to work on harder?
So, for me,
For you, you're the only one here.
the one of the thing is, and it's been addressed by Lieutenant Governor McNally and Cameron Sexton a while back, but there's a thing called truth in sentencing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the most frustrating things that I think
Officers have
people
said
know.
that for years.
Yeah, where you hear somebody gets 15 years in prison. Well, no, it doesn't mean 15.
He's already
depending on-
served 2 years in jail.
Yeah, and if they're, depending on what range offender they
Sure,
are,
if
they
it's-
could be out in as little as 30%.
Yeah, if it's a range one.
And your victims don't understand that.
Nonviolent crime shouldn't be as subjective to that. I
Right.
get it. I get it if it's a bank robber or it's not to minimize that or anything. Well, our time's up. This has been great. I've been
You
very
too.
impressed with you,
Yeah,
Sheriff.
I've had a good
Keep
time.
up the good work, brother. Keep up the
right.
good work. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.